Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and thank you for joining us for the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber's annual meeting. Through the years, the Silver Cup ceremony has been a shining symbol of honor, reflecting the accomplishments of those city builders whose names appear on these championship trophies. These cups are a symbol of leadership, responsibility, and service to our city and state. The names of all past chamber chairs, beginning in 1889, are engraved on these two cups, so that these past leaders will have a permanent memento of their service. Replicas of this cup are given to the chairs, which are displayed at the front of the stage. Our Silver Cup ceremony begins with the past chairs of the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber who join us today. Edward H. Cook, who served in 1974 and 1975. Richard Clements, who served in 1983. Lee Allen Smith, who served in 1985 through 1987. Edmund O. Martin, who served as chairman in 1989. William E. Durrett, who served in 1990. Frank McPherson, who served in 1992. Stanley F. Hupfeld, who served in 1994. Gerald L. Gamble, who served in 1997. David R. Lopez, who served in 1998. Fred J. Hall, who served in 2005 and 2006. V. Burns Hargis, who served in 2003 and 2004. J. Larry Nichols, who served as chairman in 2007 and 2008, and who now serves as vice chair of strategic planning for 2019 and 2020. David Thompson, who served as chairman in 2009 and 2010. Carl Edwards, who served as chairman in 2011 and 2012, and serves as vice chair of innovation and bioscience in 2019 and 2020. David Rainbow, who served as chairman in 2015 and 2016, and serves as corporate secretary for 2019 and 2020. And Rhonda Hooper, who served as chairman in 2017 and 2018, and currently serves as immediate past chair. Thank you to our past chairs of the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber. Also like to recognize the past chairs who could not attend today's event. Dan Hogan, who served as chair in 1981 and 1982. Luke Corbett, who served in 2000 and 2001. Robert Funk, who served in 2002. And Peter Delaney, who served in 2013 and 2014. Please stand for our national anthem, performed by Swirl Quartet with the OK City Chorus.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The Chamber's Executive Committee is comprised of men and women who dedicate their time and expertise to champion the efforts of the Chamber. These individuals join us today. You just met 4 members of the Executive Committee. Please hold your applause as the remaining members are introduced. David Hager, Devon Energy Corporation, 2019 and 2020 Vice Chair of Ford Oklahoma City. Steve Hahn, AT&T Oklahoma, 2019 and 2020 Vice Chair of Membership. Judy Hatfield, Equity Commercial Realty, LLC, 2019 and 2020 Vice Chair of Military and Aerospace. Bradley Krieger, Arvis Bank, 2019 and 2020 Vice Chair of Government Relations. Bill Lance, the Chickasaw Nation, 2019 and 2020 Vice Chair of Member Healthcare Initiative. Jenny Love Meyer, Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores, Incorporated, 2019 and 2020 Vice Chair of Marketing and Communications. Natalie Shirley, National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum, 2019 and 2020 Vice Chair of Convention and Visitor Development. Kent Shortridge, One Gas, Incorporated, 2019 Vice Chair of Community Initiatives and 2020 Vice Chair of Economic Development. Sean Trosky, OGE Energy Corporation, 2019 Vice Chair of Economic Development and 2020 Chair-elect. Roy H. Williams, Greater Oklahoma City Chamber President and CEO. And Percy Kirk, Cox Communications, your 2019 and 2020 Chair. We would also like to recognize the members of the Executive Committee who could not be with us today. Clayton I. Bennett, who served as chairman in 1996 and now serves as vice chair of strategic planning for 2019 and 2020. John Hart, Continental Resources, 2019 and 2020 treasurer. Tom McDaniel, American Fidelity Foundation, 2019 and 2020 vice chair of mass development. And Teresa Rose Crook, Communities Foundation of Oklahoma, 2019 and 2020 vice chair of education. Please join us in thanking the Executive Committee for their service. Please welcome the Chair of the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber, Percy Kirk.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today as we celebrate the conclusion of 2019 and recognize the many accomplishments that our community has achieved this year. Before I begin, I'd like to ask if all of the elected and appointed officials in the room would please stand so that we can show you our appreciation for attending today's event. Thank you for being here. Wow, what a year we've had. And what a way to end it with the overwhelming approval of MAPS 4 last week. What do you think? I'm going to get back to MAPS 4 in a few minutes, but I want to touch on some other things first. Looking back through 2019, we see both the culmination of years of work on some projects, as well as the birth of new ideas supporting almost every aspect of the work of the Chamber. Consider how we began the year. We had new representatives at every level of government, and our city was embarking on new, important conversations around what we wanted the future of Oklahoma City to look like. We were seeing continued progress in job creation, growth in our aerospace sector, exciting developments in our bioscience community, and the ongoing construction of our hospitality facilities, and much more. And in the midst of all of this ongoing progress, we were seeing positive returns on many investments that the Chamber believes will have a lasting impact on the future of our region, particularly as it relates to several big initiatives, including criminal justice reforms, the Schools Compact, the Innovation District, aerospace, and talent development. I want to start with criminal justice reform. The Oklahoma County Criminal Justice Advisory Council started to see real traction in their efforts this year. The council implemented many projects during 2019 that have impacted both the population of the jail and the ability for agencies to work together in the justice system. Several of our partners were awarded more than $1.5 million in grant funding to launch data and IT upgrades so that we can have a more holistic view of who is in our criminal justice system and why. One great example of those efforts come from the Advisory Council implementing a data hub that will allow governmental agencies to share information and to enable Oklahoma County justice system partners to work better together. With the input of numerous stakeholders, the Advisory Council selected a pilot project centered around three key stakeholders: judges and court clerks, the Sheriff's Office staff, and NorthCare, a local mental health and addiction service provider. The goal of this pilot is to expedite the transmission of judicial releases and move justice-involved individuals into services and treatment more quickly. This is just one example of how that group and the passionate advocates for justice reform are making a difference in Oklahoma County. And the proof is in the numbers. Better communication and information sharing leads to quicker releases of inmates, thereby reducing the number of people in our jail. This year, we've had a one-year average of 1,663. That's down from a peak of almost 800 more just a few short years ago. That's really great progress. Another major area of focus for us is the Oklahoma City Schools Compact. For those of you following the work being done in this space, you know we've made great strides. The Compact is a partnership between the Chamber of Oklahoma City, the City of Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma City Public School District, the Foundation for Oklahoma City Public Schools, and the United Way of Central Oklahoma. In 2019, the Compact was able to support the district as it embarked on its challenging pathway to greatness, the school district's efforts to realign its resources so it could more equitably serve its students. A key part of that conversation was addressing the mental health needs of kids in the Oklahoma City Public School District. A recent study showed that 1 in 5 students reported feeling hopeless most all of the time during the previous 30 days before the survey. 1 in 3 reported feeling that everything was an effort all or most of the time. And 1 in 5 felt so depressed that nothing could cheer them up most or all of the time. While closing schools is very difficult, the Pathways to Greatness plan enabled the school district to fund more social and emotional support systems, including adding a school counselor in each school building and providing trauma-informed training for the teachers who are working to help students in every way possible. We believe the dedication of the Oklahoma City Public Schools and the work of the OKC Schools Compact will transform the lives of our students and, by extension, our entire community. We're incredibly proud to be part of this effort, and you got to be pleased with what the district has done. A very difficult decision, but they really moved forward and it's making a difference already. Another area of focus for the Chamber is the Innovation District. Its cluster of bioscience, medical, and tech industries has become an economic driver for the city, and it's poised to become the region's hub of entrepreneurial activity. In order to reach that full potential, a strategic development planning team working off the 2017 Brookings Institute study you've heard us talk about in the past is outlining how to develop a dense, active, safe, and connected mixed-use environment, all with the goal of creating more jobs in high-impact industries and develop more amenities for the underserved neighborhoods that are adjacent to the district. With the implementation of just the first phase of investment, the planning team estimates that the district has the potential to create more than $1 billion in additional annual economic impact and $423 million in additional annual labor income. I encourage each of you to keep your eye on the growth in this area. It's spaces like this, spaces that enable innovation across multiple industries, that differentiate cities and make them competitive in this global economy. This will be exciting to watch. Oklahoma City's aerospace industry also had a stellar year in 2019, with both established anchors and new companies increasing their investment here in Oklahoma City. One example is the work at Tinker Air Force Base. In October, Tinker celebrated the opening of the first two KC-46A maintenance hangars. These things are gigantic. Yeah. These are part of the single largest construction project to take place on Tinker Air Force Base since the 1940s, and it represents Tinker's critical role in the next generation of Air Force refueling tankers. Consider this: the Air Force's current refueling tankers have been in service since 1957, and it's the men and women of Tinker Air Force Base who ensure those aircraft are still able to fly. Tinker's work on the KC-46A will enable the United States Air Force to maintain its air power, not just for the next generation, but for many generations to come. Other aerospace industry companies are also pushing the boundaries of what's possible and embracing the cutting edge right here in Oklahoma City. One example of this is Kratos Unmanned Aerial Systems. In April, Kratos unveiled their first Firejet target drone aircraft produced at their Oklahoma City production facility. They also announced that the company would increase its investment in Oklahoma City by producing the Valkyrie aircraft here too. These major announcements add to the unmanned aerial vehicle work being done by the Federal Aviation Administration, the Choctaw Nation, and others in our region. In fact, your chamber was able to help facilitate a drone safety summit this summer alongside the FAA, the Oklahoma Aeronautics Commission, OSU OKC, and Rose State College to help Oklahoma law enforcement and city government officials better learn how to integrate the technology into their workflow and continue to be innovative in how they respond to public health and safety needs in the community. The men and women of our aerospace industry in Oklahoma City are working on creating and enabling new technology that will have lasting implications on the safety and quality of life for all of us. And we are grateful for the impacts that they'll continue to have. Again, this is pretty exciting stuff right here in Oklahoma City. As we discuss areas of innovation within our major industries, we have to acknowledge one key aspect of our economic development strategy that'll make or break the success of the Oklahoma City in the future, and that is talent development. The pace of technological advancement also impacts the type of skills required for employment. A four-year college degree is sometimes outdated before a student even graduates. As a supplement, quick upskilling and on-the-job training are required for employees to remain relevant and marketable. The way we recruit employees from out of market has also changed. People are no longer able to move to cities just for jobs. They move to cities for lifestyle and cultural factors, the ease of living within a community. Oklahoma City has to be prepared to not only recruit these top-notch employees, but also ensure that our existing workforce has the type of skills that companies look for when considering a city for expansion or a relocation project. This year, the Chamber redesigned its relocation website to help prospective residents have more information at their fingertips when researching about a potential move to Oklahoma City. We also continued our newcomer receptions that allow new to Oklahoma City residents to connect with other people and organizations within our community. To help shape our understanding of what our employers need, the Chamber also launched a Talent Advisory Council with representatives from 23 companies across multiple industries. And we've relied upon their insight as we've developed more talent recruitment and retention assets for Oklahoma City businesses. Another key investment in Oklahoma City's existing workforce was the launch of Elevate. Anybody go to Elevate? Woo, woo, yeah, there you go. Elevate is a professional development event that provided continuing education opportunities for everyone from new employees to small business owners. After hearing from our major employers about the needs within their own workforce, Elevate was designed to provide soft skills resources and training from top-notch trainers. With nearly 50 breakout sessions, 3 keynote speakers, and networking opportunities, Elevate was created so that your employees could receive excellent professional development right here in Oklahoma City. We were absolutely thrilled with the response for this inaugural event, and we had more than 500 people in attendance. If you were unable to attend, save the date for the next Elevate conference. It's going to be September 10th of 2020. And join us as we continue the next generation of chamber programming in the greater Oklahoma City area. Okay, so when I started, I said I'd come back to this, and now it's time. MAPS 4. Wow. Unbelievable. It's really encouraging to know that the good majority of our citizens are invested in the community. They want to continue the positive impacts that MAPS has had on our quality of life for a number of years now. And I'll also say it takes a multitude of people to shape a campaign like this one. And the Love Your OKC effort was no different. Our campaign for MAPS 4 was all about showing our love and support for Oklahoma City. So if you forwarded an email, put out a yard sign, hosted a campaign speaker, posted about the election on social media, or convinced your neighbor to go vote, thank you. There were hundreds, if not thousands of you who contributed to making this campaign a success. And we cannot express our appreciation enough. Thank you very much one more time for all of your work on MAPS 4. The numbers clearly speak for themselves. 72% of voters made a powerful statement about the kind of city they want to build. And through the leadership of our city elected officials and the mayor who is out there each and every day trying to make a difference and tell people about it, the Citizens Advisory Committee that have always been a critical part of the MAPS process, and we continue to turn that vision of Oklahoma City into a reality. The Chamber is confident that the funds invested by MAPS 4 will set the foundation for our growth for many years to come. And as we wrap up 2019, I could think we characterize the year as a foundational one. When you think of what that means and what it means to lay a foundation, it indicates lasting strength and support of other things which can be developed. We've made some wise investments this year, but our work is certainly not done. We have much more to do in Oklahoma City to make this community everything that it can be. And thanks to the Oklahoma City residents who overwhelmingly approve MAPS 4, the investment your companies make in the chamber, the nonprofits, and businesses who invest in Oklahoma City every day, we have the resources now to enact positive change. Like I said, wow, what a year. You've all been making a big difference. Thank you. So the most important thing for us all to remember is that we're all on the same team. At the end of the day, we all want what's best for Oklahoma City. And like so many examples in our history, I'm confident that through teamwork and collaboration, we'll reach the best outcome by working together. I'm thrilled we're going to be hearing from someone with firsthand experience, no pressure, Michael, about the power of teamwork later in today's program. Thunder Television and analyst, former NBA player Michael Cage will be here to share his lessons in leadership and how they apply to the leaders, and that includes everybody in this room who are tasked with building Oklahoma City's future. But before I welcome Michael to the stage, I'd ask that you please enjoy your lunch, and I'll be back shortly to introduce today's keynote speaker. Thank you. Please enjoy your lunch.
As you enjoy your lunch, please turn your attention to the screens where we will recognize the sponsors of today's event. Special thanks to signature sponsor, Bank of Oklahoma. Host sponsor, American Fidelity Assurance Company. Video sponsor, Candor. And speaking sponsor, Topographic Incorporated. We will also recognize members of the Chamber's Board of Directors. For now, please enjoy your lunch and a special performance by Stephen Sailone. Ladies and gentlemen, as we return to our program, please turn your attention to the screens for our 2019 annual meeting video called These Are the Days, featuring people who have found their home in Oklahoma City, brought to you by Candor.
I feel so alive.
Well, I'm from Amarillo, Texas. I was born and raised there and moved to Oklahoma City for OCU Law. I was definitely planning on going home, but I fell in love with Oklahoma City and I've been here ever since.
There's magic in the air and it feels so right.
I came back to Oklahoma City because of a girl and had a job opportunity to work at a company that I really wanted to work at and be closer to my girlfriend, who's now my wife.
'Cause these are the best days. These are the best days.
I'm originally from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I've been here about a year and a half. I think one of the exciting and pleasant surprises is how quickly Oklahoma City became truly my home.
So the thing about Oklahoma City is people are super friendly. And at first it was a little weird, but then you get to know people and you're like, hey, this is actually how people are.
I quickly realized that Oklahoma City was a very special place. I feel like I've been able to do more and have more of an impact and be able to contribute in a meaningful way. I would say that Oklahoma City feels very dynamic. There are a lot of things happening in the city that are really positive and really put it on the map as a really great place to live, where you really truly feel like you're a part of a community.
You made history tonight, and we're just getting started. Are you ready to rock?
Economically, it made sense. The quality of life in relation to the cost of living is off the charts.
Whatever your tastes are, whatever your interests are, we have that now and it's cheaper, you can get it faster, and you can get it from nicer people.
I've been able to meet a wide variety of people that are very invested in me making Oklahoma City my home, which has actually made me feel at home.
We choose to live in Oklahoma City because it's a great community. And when I came back here, I fell in love with the city. And this is exactly where I want to raise my family.
I came here for law school, but I stayed because I found a supportive community. I can't imagine living anywhere else.
Please welcome, once again, the 2019-2020 chair of the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber, Percy Kirk.
They made me promise not to do a mic drop. In fact, this is what they gave me. So Michael Cage joined the Thunder broadcasting team in 2014 as its television analyst for all Fox Sports Oklahoma broadcast. Cage played 15 seasons from 1984 to 2000 as a power forward in the NBA with the Los Angeles Clippers, the Seattle Supersonics, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the New Jersey Nets. He led the NBA in rebounding in 1988, capturing the title by grabbing 30 rebounds in the final game of the regular season. A native of West Memphis, Arkansas, Cage was first-round draft pick of the Clippers in 1984, following a successful career at San Diego State University. At San Diego State University, he was named a second-team All-American in 1984 and twice was selected as Western Athletic Conference Player of the Year. He was also a member of the gold medal-winning 1983 United States team in the Pan American Games, and he's a member of both the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame and the San Diego State Hall of Fame. Cage has a long history of giving back to the community during and after his NBA playing career. He founded the Michael Cage Foundation to work with young athletes to mentor, teach, and share life lessons. He's also passionate about leadership, and today he's going to be sharing how his life experiences have shaped him into the leader that he is today. Please join me in giving Michael a warm welcome. Michael.
Thank you, Percy. How about that game last night? Gosh. You know, you just don't know how special some things are going to happen because they happen in the fly of the moment in NBA games, but I got to talk about it because when I got off the air last night, I was driving home and I started thinking about you. I said, I got to get my mind set to be here today, but I could not get over that game last night. How about the Thunder being down 26 points and coming back to win? I'm bringing that up part of my speech today because that doesn't happen very often, but you've been treated to some really good basketball this year. I saw one of my co-workers, Brian Burns. I wanted to say hello to you before I got out of here. Brian Burns, did I see you here earlier? Stand up, Brian. Okay, thank you. Yeah. All right. Brian Burns, Oklahoma City Thunder. You know, there's been so much that I've been a part of, so many wonderful communities, so many wonderful families. And when I was trying to think about what I could talk to you about today, so many things went through my mind the last couple of months because I've been in teams, I've been on boardrooms, I've been on foundations, I have my own foundations. I've been a part of wonderful communities like Oklahoma City, San Diego, and so many others that have taken me. The one thing that I felt I could effectively talk to you about today would be leadership. And leadership is one of those things where it's never really defined. It's always something that's you're learning along the way. And so after 57 years of being on the planet, that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. How to become an effective leader. And when we talk about how to become effective a leader, I mean, like I said, there's so many avenues. I can go to the sports side and say, well, I was the captain. I was the captain of the national team with Michael Jordan when we won that gold medal in 1983. I was the captain of my basketball team, high school, college. I've won championships as a high school coach, state championships as a player. But, you know, when you peel back the layers, there's a few other things that I believe, we can kind of find out about how to become a leader. So with a more effective leader. So with that being said, that's kind of where we'll start at. Now, Percy did a great job of just, organizing this whole thing. I think he's a great MC. I don't know, but are you really an MC? You're not going to make me feel insecure about my job? Please don't do that. You're very good. Thank you. I was like, I enjoyed it, listening to him today. When you trying to talk to a large audience as this, and I break things down really small. And when I start talking about some of the things that have happened in my life, they can go on. And Percy certainly touched on a lot of those. But when I start to really, get down to the nuts and bolts of things, becoming an effective leader, I think one of the biggest thing is this right here. Well, let's just start with some fun here. Loosen you up a little bit. I had hair at one time, so that is me, believe it or not. I had a lot of hair at one time, let's just say that. It's growing as you see these clips here. I just think they said I couldn't score. My 3 points on how to become a effective leader. The first one is empathy, and we'll get into that a little bit. The second one is being communal, and I think you know a lot about that already. And my third is leading by example. Now, empathy, you don't hear that word a lot, and I don't know if it's really associated with leadership as much as it should, but I found out that when I put myself in the place of others, and then I try to understand where they're coming from, whether I'm the leader or not, I've found out that I can get the most out of that individual. And in sports is just like business. I mean, we have a coach, we have a captain, we have role players. And I've learned that when I put myself, because when you work your way up that ladder of leadership, you're going to work your way from empathy. You're going to be coming from a place where you had to work yourself into this position, where you are now this leader and you're trying to understand what it is and what it will take to get the best out of this person. And empathy is one of those words, it just goes on and on and on. And when you find that place where you can identify with him or her, you're going to find out that's when you really start to make progress within a group, within a company, within a team, within a city, within an organization. So think about that. When you go home today, look up the word empathy and see what it says. See what Webster says. See what all the different definitions says. It all points to the same thing. Put yourself in the place of others. And when I kind of look at that, I look at these types of things, and I thought of these over the last couple of months, and like I said, I've been on all these different boardrooms, classrooms, basketball teams, and now working in the entertainment field. Understanding your peers, being able to listen and respond to the needs of your staff, putting others before yourself. And that's pretty much the main core definition of empathy. My second one is a little strange here, right? Being communal. What does being communal have to do with leadership? Well, I'll tell you why. Being driven, being active and driven to motivate others in your community. Lending a hand to others, especially those in need. Now, you may think I'm talking about politics. This also works in basketball, okay? This works all the way across the board. I played with guys like Gary Payton, Hall of Famer, Sean Kemp, Hall of Famer. I've seen the likes. I've been on the court with guys like Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'm going way back now. Dr. J, some of my idols. And I've seen how they approach me, and this is something I'll never forget. My first NBA game, Dr. J was playing, I was with the Clippers. We were playing the Philadelphia 76ers, 1984. Dr. J walks in to the arena, and I see him for the very first time, and I freeze. Because when I was a kid, I used to watch Dr. J play. And Dr. J wore number 6 when I was a kid, 5, 6 years old. I used to get a marker and put number 6 on a T-shirt, a black marker, to really the displeasure of my mom, because she was not happy about that. Because we're talking like the 60s and 70s. You don't ever do that with clothes, and you got to eat everything at the table. So, and Dr. J comes into me, and he looks at me, "Hey, Cage, you're the first round draft pick, right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You're going to be a great player one day." And I looked at him, and I said, "You don't even know me, though." I didn't say that to him. I was still shocked, like any kid, at 21, signing his first pro contract, which just look at an idolization of a player like Dr. J. And that was all he said to me. Later on, when I got a few minutes in the game, he kicked my tail. He's Dr. J. And so when I learned that he's in the community of the NBA family, and to have him say that to me, even though he was an opponent, it really lifted me up, because Dr. J was on the back end. He was definitely on the back nine of his career. I'm on the front nine playing the first hole, and I'm waiting to tee off. To have someone give me that kind of compliment in that family that we are as athletes, we learn to be. So I thought that, well, he could have just said, "You're not going to be the player you think you are until you work hard to get there." He just told me, "You're going to be a great player," and walked by me. His afro was half the size. I also wore my afro because of Dr. J too. You didn't see it on those tapes there. On the film. That was maybe a little bit later. But things that resonate with you that you use later on in life that I started to talk to Gary Payton about, I started to talk to Sean Kemp about, Stephon Marbury about. I started to talk to all these talented young players that I was playing with later on in my career, realizing that we're part of a big community here. So, I think that being the role model, is a big part of that as well. And Dr. J was a role model to me. So was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So was, Michael Jordan, who I was in the draft with, and Michael Jordan was phenomenal. Playing with a player like him, We were kids in college when we won our first gold medal, and Jordan, I was 19. Jordan was 18, and they invited 50 of the top high school and college players to the Olympic training facility in Colorado Springs. And that was when I met Michael Jordan for the first time. I said, this is the kid they're talking about, Jordan. So we get out there, and we got 3 days of tryouts, and I'm watching this Jordan kid fly up and down the court, do things that none of us were doing at the time. And I said to myself, he's going to be a great one. And when I went over to finally talk to him and introduce myself, hey, I'm Michael Cage from San Diego State. He said, I know who you are. I said, yeah, I just wanted to say hello to you. He says, well, I know you led the nation in rebounding your freshman year in college. And I just froze because I'm laying with you, the best player here, and to have another player of your peer say something like that, to me was an honor. And then 3 days later, I was selected as one of the members of that team. A year later, we won the gold medal. And then a year later, Michael Jordan was in the draft with me. And Michael Jordan became Michael Jordan, and I became Michael Cage. However you want to look at that. So, you learn that being in a community, it's always happening. The communal part of things, think about that. That's another one. My final one, that's an easy one. Lead by example. I think of you, Percy. I think of Brian Burns. I think of Dr. J. I think of Moses Malone. I think of all these great leaders. I think of Maya Angelou. I think of all these great leaders who led by example. They set the table for us. You're the next generation that sets the table for the next. I told Percy a story about a kid when I was in Seattle. This kid came up to me. He was 7 years old, and he was with another 7-year-old, and it was after a game, and he was really, really nervous. And he comes to me, he says, Mr. Cage, would you take a picture with me and my friend? And I said, sure. And you could just tell he just exhaled. Whew. And we took the picture, and that was it. Now, I've taken a lot of pictures with a bunch of 7-year-olds throughout my whole career. You never really think that much of it because, you're just in one city today, another city tomorrow. Well, I'll tell you a little story about that kid. 2 weeks ago, I was in Portland, Oregon. This was the first time the Thunder went to Portland to play the Trailblazers. I was in the media dining lounge, and this kid comes up to me, and he says, Mr. Cage, you won't believe this. And I'm looking at him. I said, well, I said, get it out. He says, and he's like really struggling. He says, I said, what's going on? He says, I met you when I was 7 years old. I said, what do you mean? He says, I have a picture. And he pulls out his phone. He can't find it, and he's sweating. He says, I have a picture that I took with you when I was 7 years old, and me and my friend here, we took this picture with you in Seattle. He says, I'm 35 now, and I'm now the producer of a radio and TV show in Portland, Oregon. And he says, I also have my own production company. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for taking that picture because it made me feel so much like you cared about me. You took the time to take that picture. So he was 7 years old then. This is 28 years later. You never know how your leadership is affecting people. Sometimes someone may say thank you now. Somebody may say thank you 30 years from now. But how you lead and the example you set, it's setting the table for the next generation. And when that kid said that to me, I was like 30 minutes away from getting on the air to do the Thunder pregame show. I hope you watch the Thunder pregame show, right? Let me get a show of hands. Come on. Thunder Live, it's called. It comes on every 30 minutes before every broadcast. You get a chance to see me, Greg Buckner, and John Radican, my partner Chris Fisher, and also Nick Gallo jumps in as well, too. Okay? We will watch that, will we, Michael? Not just the game. But anyway, just to, when you get a story like that, knowing that, you know what, you touched somebody's life, you made the example, and 28 years later, this kid is telling you the impact you had on his life. So, when I talk about leading by example, those are some of the sublines I came up with, you know, creating a picture of what's possible, setting the right example. The 7-year-old kid, it could be a 17-year-old kid, you know, it doesn't matter. When you get into the workplace, the team, the locker room, you know, that's always putting others before yourself. So if someone says, hey, can I talk to you a second? And I know you're my boss or you're my, you know, my department head. Take the time. Take the time to listen. Remember, take the time to put yourself in their position. Remember, we talked about empathy. We talked about being communal. And we talked about, obviously, setting the example. Here's an example for you. I'm Michael Case. Thank you for having me. Get to a Thunder game. God bless you. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for the lessons on leadership, and also thanks for the entertainment as we watch all of those Thunder games. As we approach a new year and a new decade, I hope all of you in this room will reaffirm your commitment to this community. On behalf of the Chamber, I can guarantee you that we'll continue to work to make Oklahoma City a better place to live, and we really rely upon your partnership to make that happen. Your partnership with the Chamber truly makes a difference, and we couldn't work in our community and be so effective without you. Thanks for your ongoing investment. we want to wish you happy holidays, and we look forward to continuing our work together in 2020. And with that, we're adjourned. Thanks for being here today.